Sure, no
Yeah.
problem. Okay, so hi everyone. My name is Naira Pagan. I do fair housing education and outreach with Law New York. So that's Legal Assistance of Western New York, and we call it Law New York for short. It's a free, not-for-profit law firm. So we provide free civil legal services. That means not criminal, but civil things such as housing issues, re-entry, which is people who have come out of being incarcerated and are trying to re-enter society. We help with a lot of different types of benefits, eviction prevention, victims services, consumer protections, and things like that. And I will go over all of that in my presentation. But again, what I will be doing is focusing on fair housing protections and some tenants' rights information, okay? So is it okay if I share the screen now? Okay.
Yes,
All
go
right,
ahead.
so I will share this with you. And we should have time at the end for questions. So if anybody does have questions about something, please feel free to, I don't know if you want to, Hannah, if you want to address them as I'm speaking so people don't forget, or if you want to do it at the end.
Questions in the chat, you mean?
Mhm.
Yes, I'm watching over that. So
Okay,
Hannah's going to help one of the teachers that just requested
okay,
help. So
great.
the other Hannah.
So, all right. So as I said, I work with Law New York. So if you see up here, it's Law New York for short, but the whole name is Legal Assistance of Western New York. We're actually in downtown Rochester, and we're at 1 West Main Street on the 4th floor. Our office is actually, just because of COVID, of course, not open to walk-ins at this time, but you can call us or fill out an intake application online. So if you need help, you can fill out some information and let us know what you need help with online as well, or call. And if we do need you to come in, our office is wheelchair accessible. And whether you call or come in, we always have interpreter services available for free. So you can, call us and say, whatever language you need, and we will get somebody on the line to help. So we offer services in a lot of different areas. Obviously, everyone here is in Monroe County, but if you know anyone who lives in another county and may need some help, you can contact us to see if that's something that we can do. And our office does try to prioritize, like to give a little bit of extra attention or help with accessing our services to people in the LGBTQ community, people who have like a veteran status, people who are homeless, um, any of like the more vulnerable populations who are susceptible to, injustice in our community. And we focus on social and racial equity and justice. Um, if someone calls our office for help, we do have to ask you some questions about who's in your household and income, but we do not, and we can ask questions about like your immigration status or citizenship status, but we do keep that information confidential. We do not share that information with any agencies without your permission, and we do not report to government agencies that deal with immigration. So it is a safe space for everyone. Regarding the language access, if you only speak Spanish or you feel more comfortable speaking Spanish, we do have Spanish speaking staff, and you can ask for that. If you speak any other language, as I mentioned before, just say the name of your, when you call, you can say Mandarin, Arabic, Farsi, whatever it is, and we will get an interpreter on the line for you. If anyone needs American Sign Language, um, try to let us know with more time, because sometimes it takes a little more time to get somebody who does that, but we still have access to those services, okay? Okay, so like I said, I'm going to cover Law New York services, and then towards the end, I will focus um, on the more of the housing, the fair housing information. Okay. All right. So our
What's
health
his
law.
name? The dude, the Sheldon.
Um, our health law services. So we have a navigator program, and they assist individuals and families or people, and just they assist anyone with getting health insurance. So you may qualify for Medicaid or another low-cost insurance option, and we help you get that insurance if you are eligible. Um, our community health advocacy group, they help with any kind of billing issues you may have. So if you have like hospital bills, insurance bills, and you're not sure why you're being billed that, or maybe you shouldn't be billed that, we can help with things like that. If you have any disputes with the health insurance company or any appeals, we can help with that. And then we also have our Independent Consumer Advocacy Network. It's a long word, but we call it ICANN for short. I mean, long title, we call it ICANN for short. And they help with obtaining services like home health care services, or family members who want to do that for other family members and be paid for that. Any kind of long-term care services and yeah, well, pretty much any kind of long-term care services, including home health care services. We also have some lawyers who are at different hospitals. So they may be at RGH, they may be at Strong. So if you happen to be there and there's any kind of concern, even if it's health related or not, you can ask if one of our lawyers is there, because if they are, you can go talk to them right then and there and give them the information about what you need help with. And either they will try to help you, or, we'll get you over to somebody in the office who can help. Okay, so special populations, and I talked about this a little bit earlier, but we also have our own department of or unit called Special Populations Programs, which include seniors. So we provide legal information to any clients who are 60 and older about any senior related issues, and that can include investigating elder abuse, helping someone write a will, um, power of attorney, advanced directives, and more. Our veterans, we help them with, building relationships with other organizations that can help them, and trying to make sure they have all the legal representation they need, and just basically any kind of assistance that a veteran might need. We try to either provide it for them or get them in touch with the service providers that can help. And reentry, I think I mentioned this earlier a little bit as well. So we provide assistance to individuals who may have been in jail or prison, and they are re-entering society. So they get out of jail or prison, and maybe they are being discriminated when they apply for a job because they have a criminal record, or sometimes even housing. Maybe they're denied housing. So we can try to assist with that. And then these are our public benefits services. So we have people who help you apply for SNAP, which is also known as food stamp, or HEAP, which is to help with your energy bills like RG&E. We also help if you get denied those services, or if you have a sanction from DSS or anything like that, we can try to assist with that. With WIC, WIC is a program that helps with education on breastfeeding and nutrition advice for parents and children. And they also can provide coupons, WIC coupons or vouchers, they're actually vouchers, to get food, nutritious food like milk, eggs, cheese, formula, things like that.
Myra, we just
and-
have one quick question in the chat.
Sure.
The teacher said, are SIV individuals who have served with the U.S. military included with veterans?
I'm sorry, what is SIV?
Special
apologize.
immigrant visa?
So that's a good question. I think it would depend. So we would probably, I'm trying to think. Oh, yes. Okay. So I did recently assist a family who came from Afghanistan, and the husband had some sort of he had a connection to the military. He was working with the interpreters. He did military training with the US in Afghanistan. So what I was able to do was connect them to the Veterans Outreach Center so that they can help them with more services and with the issues that they were having, which I can't really discuss exactly what it was, but I was able to forward them to Veterans Outreach Center because they had that status that they were able to show. So yes, I would say yes, contact us. Yes, we can try to get them in touch. If it's something else that legally we can help with, we'll do it. If they need access to other services, we can try to connect them to other service providers, but yes.
Okay,
Nara?
that's good to know.
Hi,
Uh-huh.
Nara.
Hi,
this is
Quinn.
Quinn. Hi, how are you?
Good, how are you?
Good, good. I know that the SIV have a lot of application that need to be convert to, because they coming in as an HP now, humanitarian parolee, and have to do a lot of paperwork. I think Catholic Family Center have a program now.
Yeah.
Can provide on that park. And I
Yes.
know I did send some of them to see some of your lawyer
Mhm.
on staff. And I think that we were told that, go through Catholic Family Center first, and we'll see what they can do, because it's overwhelming right now.
Right. So for the initial process, like if they're just coming in, yes. The person that I assisted, they already had permanent residency at this point. So it was a little different. But for an initial process, like for their applications and things like that, yes, I would say Catholic Family Center, or, you can always reach out to Legal Aid Society and see what they say with their immigration program. I believe Empire Justice does also. So if you have a question about that, you can always just reach out to our office and we'll try to get you to who can help you. If it's a legal issue that you need help with, or you can just reach out to me and then I'll try to find which organization can help you with that. Does that answer your question, Quinn, and the other person who asked? Sorry.
I'm sure we'll get something.
Yeah, sure. Let me know.
Yeah.
Okay, so DSS and utilities. So if you need assistance with applying for, or I'm sorry, if you have a problem with DSS, sometimes it's called DHS. I still say DSS, but to try to resolve any problems with your benefits, like if you've been denied benefits and utilities, if it was discontinued or you received a sanction, again, we do have help for that. And then unemployment. So if you apply for unemployment and same thing, you get denied, or maybe you had it and then it was discontinued, you can contact us to see if there's something that we can do to help with that. And then some additional services that we have, which are not as well known, are our consumer law unit. So our consumer law unit, they provide advice and legal help to people dealing with issues related to debt collection, credit reports, scams, student loans, vehicle repossession, identity theft, and bankruptcy. We also have our victim services unit. They investigate any issues that are a result or connected to a person being a victim of a crime. So if you were, for example, a victim of a crime, and then you ended up having to pay a lot of money for something because of that, or you had a problem at work because of that, or with your home because of that, we can investigate those things as well. Education advocacy project. So if you have any children who are having trouble getting the services they need in school, we have attorneys that can help with that. And then our
Can
Department
I
of
just
Health.
ask real quick again in the chat, do you help with SSI or SSD applications?
So if there are denials, so if you apply for those things and you get a denial, we may be able to look into that.
Okay, so then like not actual help for the application.
Not for
process.
the application itself.
Okay.
And then, which by the way, with those applications, you can see if there is like some medical organizations, or like, so for example, I knew of an office that I used to go to, a doctor's office I used to go to, actually had a social worker on site to help with the application process. So you can look and see if there's other advocates or advocacy organizations that help with that part. And then the Department of Health AIDS Institute benefits counseling projects. It's a long title, but they help people who are living with HIV or AIDS, who are employed or are looking for a job. So they have a job or are looking for a job, and they help them understand how working can affect any kind of public benefits that they are receiving. Will you get less of something because you're working? So they help you understand those things so that you can make the decisions that you need to make regarding employment. And now we are reaching the fair housing part, which this is what I currently focus on right now. So our fair housing unit enforcement project and eviction prevention units help with tenants' rights and responsibilities, public and subsidized housing problems, Section 8 housing problems, poor housing conditions, illegal lockouts. So if a landlord locks you out illegally without going through the courts, illegal shutoff, utility shutoff. So if they turn off your heat or electricity illegally, and being denied housing subsidies. So like help, if you're denied help with housing, financial help, or program help with housing.
One teacher just asked, can you help people find ADA compliant housing?
No, we don't help with finding the housing, but if you have an issue, for example, which I will get into, but if you have any issues with discrimination when you're looking for that housing, or if you're already in it and experiencing discrimination because of a disability, we can look into that. So fair housing. Fair housing means that you have the right to rent, buy, or enter into a housing related transaction free from unlawful discrimination. So anything to do with housing, if you want to rent, if you want to try to buy, if you want to get a loan, if you want your house, someone to look at your house and appraise it because you want to sell it, you should have the right to be able, you have the right to be able to do all of those things without being discriminated against. And that means that anyone, like landlords, real estate agents, banks, lenders, anyone who does those things or provides those services or helps with those things, cannot treat you differently which is discriminate against you because you are because you are a part of a protected class, okay? Which are the groups that I will be talking about now, but they cannot discriminate against you because of these reasons. So the law, there's two sets of laws. There's the federal government that provides protections, and then the state also provides additional protections, okay? And when under the federal law, you cannot be discriminated against again, when you're trying to rent a home, buy a home, get a loan, sell a home, anything like that, because of your race, because of your religion, because of your color, which is usually like the skin tone, right? You can be lighter or darker. Your national origin, which is where you are originally from or your ancestors are originally from. Sex, which is actually like your gender identity, gender expression, and it also protects victims of domestic violence. It protects you against sexual harassment and maternity leave discrimination. So, if you're pregnant and someone's like, oh, I don't know if she'll be able to pay rent because she's going to stop working, things like that. So under that category sex, all of those additional protections are provided. Disability, which means any kind of disability that significantly or really impacts your life, and just any kind of the ability to do any sort of daily functions that you need to do. Also, if you have had a disability or if somebody thinks you have a disability, you're not allowed to discriminate because of that. And then familial status. So familial status is if someone is pregnant, if maybe you have a lot of kids, if you want to foster a child, if you want to adopt a child or children, or if you are, gaining custody of a child, or gaining back custody of a child. You cannot be discriminated against those things when you're looking for a home or any of the other housing transactions we discussed. The state protected classes. So state protections include all of the ones that I just talked about. And then they also include age. So you cannot be discriminated because you are too young or too old, according to that person. There are some exceptions. So if there's a place that is specifically for seniors, like senior housing, and they say you're too young because you're under the age of what is required for senior housing, that's not illegal. Or student housing, right? There's college students, and sometimes there's designated student housing for them. And so if you are not a student and above a certain age, they can decide if you're able to stay there or not. Marital status. So if you're married, separated, divorced, or widowed, someone cannot discriminate against you because of that. Military status. So if you're active, if you're, retired, discharged, deployed, anything like that. Or you cannot be discriminated because of lawful source of income. So that can include, with lawful source of income, it has to be any kind of income, any money or assistance that you receive that is legally received. Okay, so for example, DSS, Section 8, a job that you have, Social Security, all of those things are legal forms of income, lawful sources of income. Something that might not be, for example, and this is not, I'm not saying this is a bad thing at all, but let's say maybe you're watching your friend's baby during the day while they're at work and they're just paying you cash. So it's not a, well, I'm sorry, that's probably actually a bad example. But anyways, so if it's something that's not under the law, legal to receive, then that's not protected. But if it is, and again, all of those things that I mentioned, like Section 8, DSS, things like that, the reason why it's important to know that is because a lot of people think that people are able to say, oh, no, we don't take Section 8, or no, you can't, we're not going to take DSS and things like that. So just wanted to clarify that. And then parts of the law might not apply to certain housing providers, but I always say just contact us. If you think you're experiencing discrimination, which I will go over some examples to kind of help you better understand exactly what discrimination can look like, just call us and let us figure that part out. We'll see if we can help you find out if that's legal or not. discrimination based on race is always illegal. So for example, maybe that person is one of the exceptions. Maybe they are one of the people that the law does not necessarily, the Fair Housing Act does not apply to. But they're discriminating against you based on your race. That is still illegal because you can be, they are liable under the Civil Rights Act of 1866. I think it was 1966, but sorry. Another thing that is always illegal, no matter what, is if somebody is intimidating or discriminating in an ad. So if you see like a commercial, if you see something in the newspaper, if you see something online on Facebook or, you know, Craigslist, and you see an apartment and they say anything that might exclude a group of people, then that is also illegal. So for example, if they say perfect for working professionals, maybe they're trying to say, oh, if you don't have a job, if you only get DSS, if you only get social, don't apply. They're just saying it in a different way. That's illegal. That can be illegal. Maybe they'll say not wheelchair accessible because they kind of don't want people who, you know, they might have to make a change or modification for. That can be illegal. Maybe they'll say no SSD or SSI. Like I said before, that's a lawful source of income. So they cannot say that they cannot accept that. And maybe that would cause someone who has SSD or SSI to not apply because they think, oh, I'm not going to get it, you know? So that is also illegal. Other examples of discrimination. So no availability or no response. So maybe you're looking for an apartment and you apply and they don't even really check. They're just like, oh no, I don't think you'll qualify. And you're like, why? You know, maybe it's because you have an accent and they think, oh, you're from a certain country or culture, ethnicity. Maybe it's because of your race or your skin tone, things like that. Maybe, you know, it's because of your sex or gender. It could be for a lot of different reasons, but if they kind of don't really check to see if you qualify, that can be discrimination. Maybe they'll say, oh, we'll put you on a waiting list, but then they never call you back ever, like not even 6 months to a year later. Or they just don't respond. Maybe they just don't even answer. You leave voicemails, you know, submit applications and they don't contact you back. Steering. So steering is trying to put certain groups of people in either certain areas or certain buildings. So for example, maybe you're looking for an apartment in one area and they say, oh, this area is probably better for you, you know, this street or these apartments. Or maybe you get an apartment, but then they put you in certain buildings and you notice that there's a lot of groups of people that are similar to you or maybe different from other groups that are all put in the same buildings. So I'll give you an example. I applied one time for an apartment and I noticed that the apartments buildings that they wanted to put me in, which it was not a problem for me, but I knew something was going on, had a lot of people from Southeast Asia, a lot of people who wore, you know, different headwear, like I wear hijab, things like that. And then I noticed a lot of the white tenants were in other buildings together. So it seemed to me like they were trying to group and separate people. Harassment. So if anybody sexually harasses you, or just, it could be sexual or non-sexual, but if they're harassing you for any reason, especially based on one of the protected classes that I mentioned before. So maybe you feel harassed because of your race. Maybe you feel harassed because of a disability. If the landlord or the property managers or are not are the ones harassing you, or maybe they know other people are harassing you and they don't do anything about it, that can be illegal. Refusal to make repairs, and I'm going to go over this a little bit more, but you know, especially if you believe it's because you are part of a protected class. So maybe you notice that a landlord will fix other people's things quickly, but not yours, or they will fix somebody else's repairs that are needed quick done at all, but they won't even, they just do not answer you or fix what they need to fix for you. And that could be, again, because you are part of a protected class, so that can be illegal. Different standards or different rules. So maybe they'll say, oh, well, you'll have to pay an extra security deposit, which no, they're not doing that with other people. They can't do that with you. Maybe they'll say, oh, your kids can't go in this area, or you guys can't go and use this. That's also illegal. Those are different rules. Maybe they'll say, I need 3 months of rent up front. Well, if they're not doing that with other people, then they cannot do that with you. So that can be an example of discrimination. And then sometimes it's just a feeling. Sometimes you just kind of know that you're being treated differently. Again, I'll give an example. The place that I went to, even though they did end up giving me the apartment, and I ended up declining it. I noticed that when I first was in the office, the woman was not super nice, but she was talking to me and helping me, giving me information, giving me the application. And then when a Black gentleman walked in and asked for an application, she was really rude. She was like, no, I don't think we have any, just treating him completely differently from what I was experiencing. I was like, and I noticed right away, I was like, wow, she wasn't talking to me that way. So he didn't know how she was talking to me, but I'm sure he knew that she was not treating him correctly, that she was probably being racist. So that's an example of sometimes how it's just a feeling. Like, he didn't have any proof, but he probably knew, hey, I feel like she's not giving me a fair chance. So just wanted to explain that. Now, this information here is when a landlord doesn't make repairs. It's going to be very general information, but I wanted to let you know that on our website, we do have articles, and I'll share that information again at the end, but we do have articles that you can look at that give a little bit more information about what I'm going to go over now. So New York State does have a law called the Warrant of Habitability. Habitable means that the rental unit is safe and a decent place to live. Any landlord who rents you a place to live must keep it in safe and decent conditions and must do needed repairs. So this is true even if you don't have a written lease. Okay, they still have to do this. And even if they try to get you to sign a paper and you sign it that says, you're giving up that right, to live in a decent and safe place and have repairs made, it's not going to be, the court will not enforce that or agree to that. You still have that right no matter what. So some steps to take if you are having habitability issues, and habitability can be like a leaking roof, insects, any kind of infestation, things that are broken, anything that is not, that needs repair, or that can cause, some sort of like safety hazard, present a safety hazard to you. So you have to notify your landlord. You have to tell them, hey, this is a problem. If they, maybe they don't respond or do anything, you can call inspectors to look at the situation. Another option is after that is to repair and deduct. That means that maybe you can fix the problem and then say, hey, it cost me, $200 to replace this window. I'm going to have to take that out of the rent that I give you. Rent withholding. So you may be able to say, hey, I've tried to contact you. I've called inspectors. They told you that this needs to be corrected. You're still not fixing it. I'm going to withhold rent, which means I'm going to keep my rent for now until you fix it. And again, I encourage you to look on our website and go over that, or just contact us because there's other additional steps that are part of what I'm going over. But if you withhold rent, you have to put it aside. You have to save it. You can't like spend it and then just say, I'm never going to pay it. You know, like they didn't fix it and okay, I skipped that month and now I'll pay again now that they fix it. You always have to keep it available for later. You might eventually have to go to court. The Department of Social Services, which is DSS, might withhold rent payment. But the best thing to do is just to talk to a lawyer about what to do about, you know, withholding rent or any of these other steps that I discussed, okay? So that's pretty much it. Does anybody have any questions?
I just wanted to clarify with you, Naira. Lynette is going to be doing kind of like a second part to this March 9th.
Right, she's going to be discussing eviction prevention,
Yes.
which, you know, if you receive an eviction notice or think that may be happening
Mhm.
or are evicted.
France has a question. Go ahead.
Go ahead, Benoni.
I want to know how long time do I need to wait between the landlord's notification and to make fixing by my expense?
I'm so sorry, I had a little bit hard time because it sounds a little far away. Can you?
Yes, hold on. Can you come closer? He's couldn't be further from the microphone.
That's my question.
You're gonna repeat the question.
Yes, hi. I want to
Hi.
know how long time do I need to wait between landlord's notification and to make fixing by my expense?
Make fixing by
until-
your,
Between the notification about repair
Mhm.
and
so I think I understand. He's asking how long should, when he notifies that there's a problem with something in the apartment, and how long should it take the landlord to fix it before he has to pay for it and then them reimburse it,
Yes.
right? Okay.
So that information, I would recommend contacting our office. I can help.
Myra, if you don't mind, I can probably answer that for him.
Oh, Lynette, great. So Lynette's on Lynette is on the call with us. She'll try to answer for you because it's more of a legal answer. So go ahead, Lynette.
Sure. Thank you, Naira. So when typically what you want to do is you either call the net office or call code enforcement. They have guidelines and timelines that that they will assign to. It depends on the issue. If it's something small that can be fixed within a week or two, then that's what they'll do. They'll give the landlord X amount of time to fix it. If the landlord doesn't fix it within that amount of time, the landlord will start to accrue daily fines. And then there's a process after that that he'll be, you know, there'll be more stricter, harsher punishments the longer he goes without fixing it. So it depends on the issue in the home. If it's something like a leak or something major having to do with like fire detectors, there's different timelines. Don't quote me on them because I don't know them by heart, but I do know that between the net office and code enforcement, they do give a certain amount of time for the landlord to fix it. And if it's not fixed within that time, then he gets fines, and they start to, there's a process that goes behind it that they'll start to, you know, they'll follow up, send inspectors out to make sure that the landlord is doing what they're supposed to be doing. And if not, then obviously harsher punishments, harsher fines and whatnot. I hope that answered his question.
Who is he
Okay.
supposed to contact about finding out the timeline?
I believe she said the net office or, you know, code inspection.
Yep, code
Code
enforcement.
inspection.
Code enforcement, sorry.
I think he's in Henrietta, so I don't know if there's a net office, but would it be just the town?
Yes.
Okay, so it'd be like the town of Henrietta. Okay, thank you.
No
Anybody else?
problem.
Somebody,
Thank you, Lynette.
I got Oh,
Oh, sorry, France.
do you want to
Go
do
ahead.
the chat one first, or do you want to?
No, you can go ahead.
Okay, Monisa, you're gonna have to come all the way up front. People in the back got the questions. Go ahead.
Hi. I have a question. Can we apply for subsidized house without job or income? If yes, please mention the way.
So
So-
I just want to make sure I understand. You said, can you apply for housing if you don't currently have a job or like that type of income, like employment
I think-
income from a job, right?
Subsidized housing, subsidized.
Yes, subsidized.
Subsidized?
Yeah.
I mean, yes, I believe you can, because if you have any kind of income such as, you know,
Listen.
DSS or things like that, you should still be able to apply.
So you can probably always apply, but you might be denied. Does your office help with that, or do they need
Yes.
to?
So we can look into, if you are denied, we can look into why you're being denied and see if it was a matter of just like not being qualified for some reason, or if you're being denied based on that income.
Great, and I think she has a case manager, so I'll refer for just the actual application. Great,
Sure,
thank you.
no problem. And then I think there was another
Yeah,
question.
the chat question. And I talked to the teacher about this. She says that she's a student who's lived in Rochester for 3 months, and she hasn't lived with her husband yet because their apartment is not wheelchair accessible, and he's living in a hospital. So can you put them in contact with someone that can help her find a place? Her caseworker keeps telling them to wait.
So we don't necessarily help with finding housing. Let me just read that again. Student who's lived in Rochester for 3 months has yet to live with her husband because their apartment is not wheelchair accessible. He is living in a hospital. So he's living at the hospital and it's not wheelchair accessible?
The
Or the
hospital is,
apartment.
the apartment isn't, so he's living at
Okay.
the hospital because he can't get into the apartment.
I would say contact us, and I'm going to go over some different ways that you can, I'll show you the ways that you can contact us to see if we can look into if her not being able to access the housing due to it not being wheelchair accessible, and whether, you know, you're on the lease and not, and things like that. If there's something that can be done about that. You know, sometimes a housing provider may be required to make changes so that you do have access to the housing. So I would say contact our office. Do we help people move out of state? No, we don't. I'm so sorry. But let me, I don't know if Hannah, you can monitor that again, but let me just really quickly, I'm going to share my screen with you for just a moment. And I want to show you all our, oops, why did I do that again?
I think you stopped sharing.
Yeah, sorry, one moment. Okay, so now I'm going to share again, and let's go here for a second. Okay, so I want to show you guys, like I said, you can always call us, right? Or if it's easier, you can go here. This is our website, lawny.org. And you can click on, sorry, you scroll down here and there's a button that says online intake form. And it's very easy. It tells you that it takes about 10 to 15 minutes to complete. It gives you information about the places, you know, the areas that we can help with in our different offices. And then you just fill out the information, where you live, you know, do you want to continue with the application? And then you just put like, there's a box where you can put the issues that you're having, and then somebody will contact you. It doesn't take too long and it's not too hard. You can always have somebody help you with it, of course, to fill that out, but it's really quick. It's pretty easy. And then somebody should get back to you within a few days. The other option, like I said, is giving us a call. And you can also, I'll bring this up here again. You can also find us on Facebook or Instagram, because sometimes we have information there as well. Okay. And then that's pretty much it. Like I said, on our website, there's information like the steps that I was going over regarding, let me go back to that, I'm sorry. So when I said, for example, you can look up an article, I will show you the information that I was telling you about, you know, like tenants' rights and things like that. So here's our articles, right? You click on legal information. Here's our articles. You can see them in Spanish if you need to. And it covers some of the services that we provide, okay? Now, if I go to housing, for example, it'll, you know, there's an article about being careful with paying with money orders, you know, what kind of things to look out for, you know, things that can cause issues with your housing or your agreement with your landlord, how to communicate with your landlord, you know, past rent, past due rent, fair housing disability issues, things like that. So you sometimes if you have a question about these things, you can look here first, illegal evictions, you know, protections. So all of that information is here. I still say there's articles about subsidized housing security deposits. I still always say I think it's best to give us a call, because everybody's situation is different. It could be one little thing that can mean a difference between you getting help and not. You know, you being eligible for some kind of like legal assistance with discrimination or other issues. So always give us a call or fill out our form so that we can try to find out if it's something that we can do to help. And that's it. Does anybody else have any questions or?